we know that Sister Simon is a diabetic expert, and she lectures diabetes nurses, and also she teaches and do seminars how to reverse diabetes and how to care for people with diabetes. So this morning we welcome you, Sister Simon, and without further ado, I'll hand over to you. I've given you co-host as well.
Okay. Okay, I'll just say this and then I'll share screen as well. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. And again, God has blessed us with another new day, another day to repent, and another day to serve Him and to honor and to glorify His name. So I'll go into sharing. Or before we go into sharing, what I wanted to ask just for 10 minutes, has anyone set any goal? Because it doesn't make sense that we are doing all the talking and saying what to do, and there's no one to give a little testimony to help others along this way. What goal have you set, any of you, and how have you seen any changes in your life? Because once we change our lifestyle, we should see something different happening, and then we can share it with others that they know that really changing lifestyle is one of the main things to help us to come to remission if we have diabetes, or to prevent us from getting it if we have insulin resistance. So is there anyone that had set any goals at all? Just maybe 2 people. Like a testimony to say, well, you know, I noticed this, my tummy has lost maybe half an inch, or I'm doing a little bit more walking. I'm looking at the you know, what I'm eating, anything at all. Okay, so.
Yes, so I'm climbing more stairs because instead of taking the escalator down to the platform at Shepherd's Bush Station, there are 70 something steps. So each morning I go down those 70 something steps, and yeah, and drink more water as well.
Thanks. And that is good. More movement, more energy is burnt. The lower the glucose level is going to be in the bloodstream, the less thicker the blood is going to be, the more active the blood is going to be, and the less sort of like we are prone to get infections when we are putting on a little weight and so on. So it's less for the lymphatic system to do. And we know, as I said before, that the heart pumps over 7,500 liters of blood a day. So if that blood is thick and heavy and sticky and acid and sluggish, we know that our whole system, from our brain down to our toenail, we know that that is a massive problem. It's not something that we can cut off when you have diabetes. This is all of the whole body involved. Your eyes, the brain, the fingers, the heart, the lungs, the liver, the kidney, the circulatory system, the immune system, the nervous system. Every one of those people who are working for us, they are involved in this. So we need to really take it absolutely serious when we have risk factors to diabetes. Is the blood pressure a little bit up? We take a note. Is the triglycerides around the body a little bit up? Is the cholesterol a little bit up? Are we getting tired? And all these little things we need to look at, because that's what lead to diabetes. So there we go. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good morning. I have not been listening for long. I've only just started, probably this is my second time. but I am trying to follow the same what you're saying because I notice because I'm a breast cancer patient and I'm following the same things, healthy things that you're saying. And I notice I used to have a light head quite regular in the mornings. And I don't know if you're hearing
Yes.
me. And
Yes, I'm
I
hearing
thought,
you. Thanks.
yeah, yes, and I made some changes, and I realized that lightheaded thing is I don't really feel it, hardly ever. I and it's I recognize that it must be what changes I made with the diet, less sugar and so on, because I had to pop my ears before I could even feel better. Inflammation maybe in my up in them areas. So
Yes.
diet was the thing that helping. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. And you're absolutely right, sister. When we have a sort of inflammation in the body, and you will find that some people start losing their little balance. We have 3 little stones in the air, and when that gets sticky and we're not having enough water, they can't float around to balance us. Because if you have someone is doing the gymnastics and they're on the beam and they've got any sort of an infection, they can't do that they are put out of that team because these little stones in the ears, like stones, they balance us off. So we feel a little bit drifty and a little bit lighty on one side and things like that. So you are absolutely right. Okay, so let's look at, I'm not doing digestive system, but I am just sort of going from there to when we talk about the good waste. When we talk about the size of our waist, we can see here in this picture that all the organs are involved, okay? When we look inside of it, we can see here deep inside our aorta and the liver and all those big and strong blood vessels are going down straight between the waist. So we can see here, we need to really do something a little bit about that because all those great organs that's going on to the feet, going behind our bottom, going up to the stomach, going up to the brain, all those are getting the pressure because of that. That's why they said, it's important to look at that. It's better even than the blood tests. So today we are going to look at glycemic index. What is this all about? When we eat, we need to eat food with fibers in it to help us, because then you feel fuller for longer. So you wouldn't be kind of snacking off. So let's see what it's all about. So glycemic index is the ranking of carbohydrates, food, and drinks based on how quick they increase the blood glucose level. How quick they increase the blood glucose level. So we're going to look at some foods like that this morning. The rate that the food or drinks are raised in the blood is compared to pure glucose. If you drink pure glucose, it will send the glucose level really high quickly. So what are we eating? Food like that, or we will see here, which makes the blood give an index to about 100. So if they cause the blood glucose, that's the food and drinks that we are having, to increase quickly with an index of 70, we wouldn't know that, but then we can, we will kind of judge what later. They are called high glycemic foods. And if they are increasing very high, remember your pancreas has to make that insulin to bring down that glucose level. So if we are eating foods that are without fibers and without anything really that we can chew it and the stomach has to break it down, then that put a surge on the pancreas to really, so he's like a donkey and we are whipping him with a stick to say, go on, but he is tired. And he's only going because we are whipping him. So every time we eat, put something in our mouths, on and on and on and on, obviously the glucose level is going to go high, and then your pancreas has got to secrete a lot. So those which the foods and drink which affects it is more slowly with an index below 55 are called low glycemic foods. So there is what I was just talking about. Low glycemic foods. You might see it on the food, on your food in the labels, you might, as well as you might not, but this gives you a little guidance of when we put eating and so on. Medium is between 55 and 69, and very high is 70. Just look at what it happens. On your left side is the glucose level, and in the bottom is time. So for instance, say time you had something to eat at 7 o'clock, that's on your left-hand side, and say the end of time, maybe 12 o'clock. We can see here some foods are going beyond 12 o'clock, that's the bottom line, and some foods are rising up and coming down maybe within 2 hours, and then we have the medium one here. So we can see here, eating foods with some form of roughage in it is important. Let's look at some of these foods. So we have a high glycemic index on the top, which is a kind of purple color. We have the medium foods and we have the low ones. So let's look at something like Lucozade. If someone glucose level goes low, then they said, all right, the quickest thing is to give them Lucozade because the sugar in it is really high. So that's going to give, you can work it out. What sort of glycemic index would that give? A high glycemic index, because there's nothing there. It's just the sugar, as we said, like the glucose is going up. If we eat something like corn flakes, really, I mean, if I say that, I think the manufacturers will get me. But corn flakes, there's nothing there. An adult ready to eat a bowl of corn flakes, the body is crying out. Because you put it in the mouth, you just bang some milk in it, and you swallow it down, and that's it. And right away already, it's getting ready to give you a high glycemic index. There's nothing near to grind up. Same thing with the Rice Krispies and Cheerios and puff wheat and all those sort of things, and French bread and crumpets and crisp and rice, white rice, and all these things going to give you a very high glycemic index. And then your pancreas is going to be surged trying to make that insulin to bring it down within 2 hours. That's the law he has, 2 hours to bring down that glucose level to normal. Then we have the medium ones. You said something like jam, but why jam? Jam is high, but remember it's made from fruits. So therefore it's going to take a little time to digest. So that's why they are saying their sugars, maybe as I said with the beetroot, that's like a fruit. So it's got fructose in it, like the jam, fructose. So you're going to get a medium glycemic index. Things like oatmeal, biscuits, sort of things like that, scones with a little bit of maybe milk in it will give you a medium. So we see like Rivita and all those sort of things, and sort of pita bread will give you a medium one. They're not bad, but they only give you a medium one. Things that sweet potatoes, that is good for people who have diabetes because it's got the strings in it. So when we look at even shredded wheats, rich tea, those got a little bit of you will see a little bit of fibers in them, and they've got a little, I think they've got a little bit of milk in it. So that's what making the medium glycemic index. Sort of a fruit and fiber special. The fruit and fiber, remember, it's got lots of currants and raisins in there and banana. So that will give you a high glycemic index, but you have one that is called Special K, and that one is not too bad. Then we look at porridge for low glycemic index. Porridge is one of the best things. I did some research on that, and I'm telling you, I'll give you that one of these mornings, and you can see why they said that roll oats porridge is one of the best in the world, because it helps. It's got two sets of fibers. It's got the absorbable and the non-absorbable fiber. The absorbable fiber is the jelly things in it, and that jelly thing, it pulls off your cholesterol as well, and the glucose as well when it gets down the bowels, and then that goes into your stool. So it's a wonderful thing to have, the oats porridge, it with that sort of a stickiness, and it's got the fiber in it, especially the roll oats. And then we look, you might think they're cow's milk, but the reason why they're saying it's a low glycemic index or the plant-based milk, because it's got lactose in there. And remember what we said with lactose, it goes straight to the liver, and the liver deals with it because it's a good thing to have. And also with your fructose, with your fruits. And then we look at something like whole fruits and vegetables. Well, that's the best anyway, because that's like a toothbrush to your villi and your small bowels. And then we say things like pulses, things like nuts, pasta, maybe brown pasta, rye, all those will give you a low glycemic index. Low glycemic index food keeps you full for longer. Keeps you full for longer. So you're not going to be snacking in between because you're saying you are hungry. And if that starts happening after you finish eating a meal in an hour, that means you are thirsty. If you feel hungry about an hour and a half after you've eaten, or 2 hours, that means that you are thirsty. And when you say you are feeling thirsty, that means the body is already dehydrated. So anytime you feel thirsty, think about your organs, your liver, your lungs, your kidney, your heart. They are saying, please give me water, please. But no, sometimes we feel like that, and then we have maybe something is sweet because we said, oh, we just feeling like that. Okay, so a little tip again is that we need to have these foods because the villi is 20,000 per square inch. Those little things that we like brushes inside our small bowels that is 25 feet long, we need to sweep them. We need to brush them. We need to water them. We need to clean them because they are absolutely important. Those are the people that I said, millions of them that pulls out the juices from our food with such force that they become dirty like our teeth. So we need to sweep them out every day. Maybe 4 portions of roughage every day. That is 3 tablespoons maybe of cabbage. You can choose what you like. 3 to 4 tablespoons maybe of broccoli. 3 to 4 tablespoons maybe of green beans. 3 to 4 tablespoons, 4 sets of those 3 tablespoons to make sure that they are, as it goes through, it will clean them up. And that's important because that will take up less fats, we will take up less glucose, we will take up less everything. So it's important really that we clean them so they can be clean for each meal that is coming down inside there. So we need to look after them. One thing I want to do again is to talk about nutrition. When we choose this food, we choose real food. Foods maybe like broccoli is a real food. It's no sort of a preservative in it. And when we look there, we can see on the board, we have like something like broccoli, 2 to 3 tablespoons as a portion. And what does it give us? 28 calories. Any fat in it? No. Any saturation of fats in it? No. Carbs, yes, 2 grams of carbs in it. Sugar, yes, it's the 2 grams, and it's got 3 grams of fiber and 3 grams of protein and no salt. Isn't that a great food? Then we look at something like butter or some sort of a fat. We need the fat. Do not stop taking fats. There are different types of fats. So this here is butter. we're talking about butter, and that is not gone on to tablespoons, but gone to teaspoon. 2 teaspoons is a portion. 2 teaspoons is a portion, and in that 2 teaspoons of that, we have here 74 calories, fats 8 grams, saturates, and when we said we have saturated and saturated fats. Okay, so we see here we have saturate 5, sugar nil, fats and fibers nil. So we can see all fats without any fibers. There's no protein in that butter. And we see the same thing with cauliflower. 25 calories, you can take a picture of that and then you can look at it. Then we come down really to things like the cheese. So a small box, like a matchbox size, whether it's vegan or what, is 30 grams. And that has 125 calories in there. So we can see there's some saturates in there. So we see here that it's got fat, fibers there as well. And then we see, look at that meat with the chicken. Let's see what we get from that. A lot of calories, a lot of fat, a lot, 2 saturates, and the fiber. Is there any fibers in that? No, there's no fibers. And we get a little bit of protein and we have some salt. So I want to go to that one. Yeah, so then we need to look at the quality of the foods that we are having. So we can see here nutrition is very good, is good for us, because this is only giving us a guideline really of essential nutrients. So we need most of those essential nutrients. We need the fat, we need the protein, we need the vitamins, we need the minerals, we need the water. And some people might say, oh yes, we need the fibers. And some people might say that we need something like carbohydrates. But really and truly, it's not an essential nutrient. Why? Because if we don't eat, the body can make that carbohydrates. That does not mean carbohydrates is not part of the healthy nutrition. Yes, it is. But most of the food and drinks provided some essentials for life, and some of the foods that we eat will break down into carbs. So we could live without eating carbs, because some of the foods we eat will break down into that. So we don't say, all right, oh my gosh, no, I'm put in a room and they said no carbs. No, don't be frightened, because some of the food breaks down into that. But we just need to learn really ultra-processed foods. Please let us kind of move away a little bit from the processed foods. Too many fats, too many salts, too many sugars that we cannot see. And learn what is a portion. So next week, I'm going to do what is a portion. What is a portion? Is there anyone who wants to say anything about that? What you think about?
I just want to ask a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to ask a question concerning the butter. As Adventists, in Leviticus, it says in Leviticus chapter 7, don't eat fat or blood, but you mentioned butter. So I'm saying, can I substitute the butter for the margarine? Is the same?
You could stop, yes, but yes, you can do that. One morning I'm not saying that we should have the butter, but I put it there as a fat because it's on the page. But then fats are important, because I know some people see because where the Lord said about fats, but he's talking about like the animal fats. But this butter is only on the picture. But obviously, if you have other sort of a nut butter that you have made, or you with your sort of a avocado and those things, obviously we know that is a little bit better. But some people cut off fat completely, and then their balancing and everything is gone, and always had an infection. Yes, because there's too much to talk about this morning about certain fats in the body. The body needs those fats, because it oils your joints, and also the lymphatic system needs it as well when we talk about inflammation and infection in the liver, going through the liver. But we'll talk about that another day, because it will take up maybe the half an hour to explain its importance.
Thank you. So I can use margarine. Thank you.
Of course, definitely. Yeah. That is only there because that's all the picture I had to show you. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Okay. So next week we are going to do fibers. What food gives us certain fibers, and we will go through some of the importance. High, so we would know when the food is high in fiber, medium in fiber, or low in fiber. So we are going to go through that, and then we're going to do, as you see on the right-hand side, we're going to do some carbs, the importance of our carbs and how much we should have. So we're going to do some food portioning, and we're going to do some portion sizes of food. I think that's, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing now. Oh dear.